Welcome to Mark Loves Cars. Today we review my Aston Martin Vantage 2007. How was it to own? Why am I selling it? Stay tuned to find out. So your first question is probably, is an older Aston Martin Vantage for you? Maybe. Let's talk about that. These cars are very affordable. You can get a decent one for $35,000, a really nice one with low miles for $45,000. Pretty well maintained. That's a great value for an exotic car, right? So let's start with probably the car's strongest point, which is how it looks. This design is 17 years old and it looks amazing. Timeless, every proportion perfect, stubby, wide, gorgeous. Metal touches, real metal everywhere. There's no plastic on this car. It's a stunning car. It was a stunning car in 07. It's a stunning car now. How does it drive? Let's start her up and find out. So a definite pro of this car is the way it rides. You can see here I'm in kind of a city street environment. This is not a harsh car by any means. The seats are pretty comfortable. It just rides well. It's a comfortable car. As exotic cars go, I think. I've driven quite a few. I think it's comfortable. As I said, the seats are firm but supportive, just enough cush. The ride is, I think, also firm, but it's got some cush to it. It's not too punishing. That is helped, of course, by the fact that I have 4 brand new Continental Extreme Contact tires. Wonderful tires, really soften up the ride and make it feel really nice, quiet too. So a very nice riding car. And as we're about to see, we're going to jump on the freeway here. This is a GT car, a Grand Touring car. What does that mean? It means it's best on highways and freeways and long, straight, high-speed things is where this car shines, and it does an excellent job there. You can't say that about a lot of exotics. A lot of exotics, Ferraris, Nissan GTR, what have you, can be a bit punishing on a road trip. This car was built for road trips, as we're about to find out. And of course the grip is wonderful. Low. This is a low, wide car with pretty fat tires and new tires at that. The grip is fantastic. You will never lose grip or have a chirp or a squeak. I can almost assure you of that. So yeah, here we are cruising in 6th gear on the highway at kind of normal highway speeds. The car is fairly quiet. I mean, it's not quiet, but as quiet as it gets. It's composed, no squeaks, no rattles. It doesn't jostle you too badly. It's comfortable. It's comfortable. We're at 75 miles an hour. It's comfortable. Planted, stable, composed. No vibrations. Nothing to really upset what should be a nice, pleasant highway cruise. Very, very nice on the highway. Once again, this is a Grand Touring car. This is where it shines, and it's great at this. And I'm not going to show it now because that would be illegal, but if you get to higher speeds, triple-digit speeds, also in a highway environment, it's rock solid. This car's top speed is 183, and there's not much drama as you get up into the triple digits. I get cruising this thing, and have cruised in this car for hours and hours and hours, and not even bat an eye. You get a little stiff because of the low seating position. Your legs are like straight out, but it's comfortable. You could take a 3, 4, 5 hour road trip in this, at least I can. No problem. Very, very comfortable car, and I love that about it. Alright, little freeway merge here. You can check that out. Once again, there's loads of grip. Oh man, this thing sticks like glue. Wonderful. And the exhaust is just heavenly. Have a listen. You will never get tired of that, I promise you. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sound these cars make. Oh, it's just heavenly. It really is heavenly. I love it. Now we're we're in kind of a country road, back roads type of setting. I love it back here. Some other notes on the car. I love the steering of the car. It's really nice, heavy. You can see here, like, it takes some effort to turn the wheel, but it's very direct. You turn the wheel an inch, the car moves. There's no real dead spots. I like heavy steering. Newer cars, Ferraris, Porsches, etc., you drive those, the steering is laser precise, but I think it's a bit too light. This car has wonderfully heavy steering, and I absolutely love that. Great steering, just the perfect feel, goes where you point it, and gives you some nice feedback as well. It's hydraulic steering, which I love. I'm not a fan of newer electric steering. My Tesla Model 3 has it, and it's actually wonderful, but by and large, electric steering just has this artificial overboosted feel. This car doesn't have that. It feels absolutely wonderful. As you turn the car, it just doesn't get much better than this in terms of steering feel. Just wonderful. So again, I mean, this is a GT car. It's meant for this, not just the highway, but back roads at a decent speed, straight with some maybe long sweeping turns. That is what this car is absolutely best at. It's amazing. It's so comfortable. We're doing 58 miles per hour on a back road. Beautiful scenery. Not particularly challenging road here so far. This car is just great. Rides well. Soaks up the bumps well. It's composed. It's quiet enough, but you always have that beautiful exhaust. The steering is nicely weighted. It's just a great experience. If you want to take if you want to take a road trip or a 2 or 3 hour drive, this is the exotic car to do it in. It really is a wonderful cruiser. All right, now we're getting to a point in this road where it's a bit more technical. A lot of very low speed, winding, snaky turns. That is not this car's strong suit, as I will demonstrate. So here, this is great, right? It's single turn, but it's about to get very snaky. And, you just can't get around it. This is a heavy car, 3,600 pounds. It's a heavy car. You feel the weight in tight, quick turn situations. You just do. While the steering is great, it's a cumbersome car if you're doing a lot of quick turns and lane changes, things like that. It's just a big, heavy car. You can feel the weight. I mean, it's great. I think that helps the ride, but you really feel that weight. So, like, that is great, right? Just a single turn. What gets to be the problem is when there's kind of a serpentine road with a lot of turns, and you're just turning. The car, you can feel the body motions, but right now it's great. If there's just like a single sharp turn, it's wonderful. Grip is fantastic in this car. Wonderful. These roads are fun, but these are tight turns, and man, I think this car does well, but you really feel the weight of the car on these really narrow, very windy roads where you're constantly changing direction. It's not bad, but I've driven Porsches and Lotuses and other things back here. Those cars are amazing. See, just right there, you can see I don't know if the camera's correcting all of it, but we're bouncing all over the place. You feel the weight of this car. In tight turns, in bumpy roads like this, the car is moving. There's just body motions everywhere. The car is moving up and down and side to side, like as we go through here. It's lots of fun, but it's like up and down, up and down, up and down, side to side, right? The car is kind of pitching and rolling all over the place. It's not ideal for these super tight back roads. It's fun, and it definitely gives you some confidence, but the constant changing of direction, you just got perpetual motion of the body kind of all over the place, and it just doesn't inspire that much confidence to me personally. I would prefer a mid-engine lighter car back here, and as I said, I've driven those. Those just feel more at home. This car, again, is a GT car. It's a cruiser. That's where it's most at home, and I can't fault it for that. I knew that's what it was when I bought it, but I came to realize that while I like GT cars, I want to do driving like this too, and it's just not confidence inspiring in a car this heavy. Now, I don't want to give the impression that this is some sort of old man's car. When you rip through the gears, it can be quite exciting, as my passenger will now demonstrate. Another little con that is always there is this is what's known as a front mid-engine car. So the engine's in the front, but it's very close to the firewall. The engine's about right up here, which is great for balance, but not so great for interior temperatures. This car gets hot, especially on a hot day. You feel that engine there. It puts up a lot of heat. You know, today is a typical hot California day. You really feel it. The AC has to work just to overpower the engine heat that's coming in here. So even on a cool day, it's funny actually, on a cool day this car is great because you don't need to turn the heat on. The heat of the engine up here just keeps you warm. Further to the list of cons, the car is not that fast, so I'll drop the hammer here. Sounds amazing, revs beautifully, smooth, just a great sound. Not fast. This is a heavy car, as I said, 3,600 pounds, 380 horsepower, and the worst part is only 302 foot-pound of torque at a high RPM. It's just not a recipe for a fast car. This car was rated around 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. I think you'd really have to do some serious clutch drops to get that. I never drive this car super hard. You know, 5-second range on the car, then and now, it's just not that fast. It was a bit of a letdown, especially because I rented a Vantage 4.7 before I bought this car. Now the 4.7, some people say, oh, it's hard to tell the difference. No, it's not. It has much more power, way more torque. So those started being put in here in 2009. Oop, there's a nice vet driver enjoying himself, as we are. So if you can swing it, get an 09 or later. 09 is perfect because it's this car's clean body without all the side sill extensions and slight cosmetic tweaks. So it's this beautiful clean body with the 4.7. If you go for a 2010 model, also the 4.7, but then you get the wider side sills. It just doesn't look as clean. So once again, these older cars are cheaper, but if you can swing it, get a 4.7, you will not regret it. If you're like me, the 4.3 will eventually annoy you with its lack of power. And of course, there's a million mods you could do to these cars. Velocity AP tune, exhaust, headers, the twin plate clutch with a light flywheel, which I have. People will say, oh, you can get the 4.3 to be as fast as a 4.7. Sure, after $5 grand and tons of tinkering, it gets closer. In my opinion, it'll never be there. I don't want to spend $5,000+ trying to get it closer to the 4.7. Just buy the 4.7. Having said that, this isn't a slow car. You know, if you hustle it, it moves, and it moves very well. So back to the clutch, you know, this is a lesson in be careful what you read online and on the forums, but when I got this car, it had a very heavy clutch, very high engagement point, very heavy, really cumbersome to drive. So I did a lot of research. Everybody was saying get the twin plate clutch with a lighter flywheel from Velocity AP. The shop I ended up taking it to, a wonderful Aston shop, said, we agree with that, but why don't you just spring and get the Aston Martin version, which I did. Same basic design, it's OEM, same basic principle. Twin plate clutch, lasts longer, it has a lot of other benefits, the lighter flywheel as well, more free revving, etc. So anyway, all signs were saying to me, go with a lighter flywheel and twin plate clutch. It's going to make a huge difference. Well, it makes a difference. The clutch effort is very light, you know, that's nice. I don't feel that it revs any faster. It doesn't feel any faster to me. I feel like all the hype around the twin plate clutch and the lighter flywheel is a bit overblown. Now, there's also people that'll say, well, you got to do that, plus a tune, plus an exhaust. Okay, maybe that exploits, quote unquote, the twin plate clutch better. Just doing the twin plate clutch, though, I don't feel gives you that much. And it's $6,200. Unless you need the new clutch, I would think very carefully about doing that. So I was very let down by that. I was expecting more. $6,000 later, you know, shift's a bit better and the gearbox, clutch effort was later. That's about it, right? I was hoping for more. It is what it is. All right, let's talk about the manual transmission. It is just okay. Now, if you're on Bring a Trailer or reading all the zillions of forums, people will tell you, oh, you know, let me first say that I'm a manual transmission guy. I've had dozens of manual transmission cars. I prefer it. Vantage buyers will tell you, get the 6-speed manual. It's amazing. To me, it's just okay. Let's see if we can beat this Volvo SUV here. We can. While the clutch effort, now that I've replaced it, is lighter, the transmission, the gear shift feel, I think it's best described as notchy, stiff shifting, and very mechanical in feel. Now, someone like Doug DeMuro, you see him talk about cars a lot, obviously. He says, I like that. I like the notchy, stiff shifting type of car. The shop where I got the clutch put in said, this is never going to shift like a GTI. Well, that's what I want, and I know that's not realistic, but there are cars, say like an early 90s NSX, they just have these light, precise, snick, snick, snick shifters. Very easy to put in the gear, very light, just flick, flick, flick. This is not that. So you clutch in, down to 5. Ooh, okay, here we go, down to 4th, 4. Boom. Now, it's not that bad once the car is warm. The car is very warm right now. The engine is nice and toasty, and it's a hot day. When the gearbox warms up, and provided you have the right Aston recommended transaxle fluid, that will help. But when this car is cold, good luck getting it into 1st or 2nd, and the 1-2 shift, these cars are known to be very notchy, especially, but just in general. When the car is cold, it is very, very, very notchy. Working the gears. Once it's warm, much, much better. But you got to suffer through 15-20 minutes until it gets warm. Kind of a bummer in my opinion, but again, it is what it is, and it depends on what you like. So let's do some more shifting here. All right. 1, 2, 3,000 RPMs. Ugh, crunch. Take some effort. 2, 3. Click, click, no problem. 3, 4. You know, it's, now that it's warmed up, it's fine, but it's just, it's a lot of effort. Not on a back road, right? This is great, but I live in California, and there's constant traffic. You're stopped and going up and down the gears constantly. In this car, it reminds me of lifting weights. It feels like I'm doing a dumbbell workout. It's just, you know. And while it's great to have that positive Winchester rifle feel, some people say, it gets old quickly if you're in a lot of traffic. It really, really, really does. In fact, before I bought this car, I rented a Sport Shift 2, the latest version of their sequential manual. I like it. It gets a lot of hate. You just have to learn how to drive it. For example, you have to lift off the throttle when you shift, okay? It's not PDK. You don't just hold the gas to the floor and keep shifting. You let off, shift, back on the gas, smooths it out considerably. I hate to say it, if this car was a Sport Shift, I might not be selling it. And I never thought I'd say that, and I'm ashamed to say that, but it's just, the stiff shifting gets old. Talking about braking in this car, I think the braking is actually very good. I will kind of demonstrate that now. We're at about 50. So this car stops well. The pedal feel is good, not too firm, soft but firm pedal feel. I think the braking is very progressive. It's not all or nothing, where it feels like a brick, where nothing, 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 and then all of a sudden the car stops. I think, yeah, it's a very nice, soft feeling pedal that really works well. Now, this is a heavy car, so as I slow down here, it takes some time to haul it down to speed, right? It's not a light car by any means, but the braking is, yeah, I think the pedal is soft, but not too soft. Stops the car well. very progressive, so the amount that you're stopping is proportional to the amount of effort you're putting in, and I think that's great. No complaints with the brakes other than it's a heavy car. You could say it's a bit under braked, you know, probably could use bigger rotors. I think the V12 cars have bigger rotors, but generally speaking, I don't think you'll be too disappointed unless you're really driving insanely fast. Then you might wish for better brakes, but generally speaking, pretty solid. So as of this video, my Aston is gone. I sold it. I actually sold it several months ago, and to be honest with you, I haven't really thought about it or cared about it since. So why did I sell it? It was a nice car, beautiful. I loved staring at it in the garage. It made an amazing sound. It had such a cool factor out on the streets. People looked and everybody thought it was super cool. I thought it was super cool. So the car has quite a few strong points. It was a great touring car. I like to take long drives. On the highway, it was great at that. So what happened? As I alluded to earlier in the video, one of the main things I did not like about the car was the manual transmission. I'm a manual guy. I really, really am. It just was too stiff shifting, too high effort. And when you're driving a lot and shifting a lot, that really bothered me. And I just couldn't get past it. It wasn't very fast. It wasn't slow, but I've gotten used to fast cars. I own a Tesla. I need quick acceleration. That's not this car. If you really want to wring it out and rev up all the gears to redline, it's a wonderful, joyous thing to do. You'll get moving fast, but it takes a lot of effort to get this thing past 80 miles an hour compared to other exotic cars, right? It's not slow, but compared to Ferraris and Porsches and Teslas, it takes a while to get there. The size of the car. It's not a physically big car, but it feels huge. As you're driving it, it's heavy. 3,600 pounds. It is wide, it is low, and it's got the longest hood in the world. The hood seems to go for like 18 feet. It never ends, and you can never adjust the seating position, or I can't, where you can actually see over the hood. I'm literally always pushing myself up out of my seat and peeking over the hood to try and see where I'm going, especially parking. It's a big car. It just felt ponderous, big, kind of clumsy, clunky, a lot of body motions when you're really flinging it around. It just wasn't as agile and light and tossable as I like. And that's part of the reason it rides so well. It's like a bank vault. It's built so well. It's so solid, so heavy. It rides incredibly well. So there's trade-offs there, but ultimately, it just wasn't the nimble sports car I wanted. Things like parking in a parking lot, it's very ponderous and kind of clunky to navigate. It didn't have a great turning radius, the steering's super heavy, the hood is long. So anyway, enough said there. My list of cons for the car really isn't that long, but they were all significant enough to me that it bothered me constantly. So I had to say goodbye. It happens. We live, we learn, we move on. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what now? Should I buy one of these cars or not? Well, it depends, right? I've tried to tell you what the pros and cons are and what I think these cars are and what they are not. It's obviously up to you to make a decision based on all the information you have. I would say be careful what owner feedback you take into consideration. You go on Bring a Trailer, the Vantage owners will tell you, oh my God, these are the greatest cars. It's better than a Ferrari, better than a Porsche 997 at half the price. You'd be crazy not to get one. Okay, I think that's way overblown. These guys love the cars, and I think that's great, but they're trying to protect their interests and values as well. This is not a Ferrari. This is not a bargain Porsche that nobody's found out about. They are cheap for a reason, and I've tried to explain, honestly, why I think that is. They're great touring cars. They're beautiful. They make a great sound. If you want a hardcore sports car, you probably should look elsewhere. Having said that, for the money, if you want to get into an exotic car, these are a great option. As you contemplate potentially buying an older Vantage like this one, obviously one of the most significant considerations is, what is the maintenance cost? I'm happy to report these are actually quite reliable, but they are expensive to fix when they need things. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Click on the pop-out banner above. That will take you to a completely separate video that I already recorded on this subject. In fact, I spent over $15,000 getting my Vantage up to code. That is not common. I wouldn't expect that for every car you buy, but if you want to know the common things to watch out for that might need replacing if you buy a maintenance deferred Vantage, check out that video. I think it'll be very helpful to know what you could be getting into, worst case. So thanks for watching. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate a like or a comment, and of course subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my future content. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.